Captain James Walker stood straight and tall in his crisp blue uniform as he faced the massive chamber of the Galactic Council. The circular room towered above him, filled with hundreds of alien representatives seated in rising tiers. Their faces, some scaled, some tentacled, others simply strange beyond description, all stared down at him with a mixture of curiosity and dismissal. "Honored members of the Council," Walker began, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "On behalf of Earth, I present our military capabilities assessment as required for new species integration." He pressed a button on his tablet, and a hologram appeared behind him showing Earth's most advanced battleship. A ripple of muttering spread through the chamber. High Counselor Nexar, a tall being with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer like liquid mercury, leaned forward in his seat. His large, pupilless eyes blinked slowly as he studied the image. "And what, Captain Walker, are those protrusions along the ship's hull?" Nexar asked, pointing at the weapon mounts. "Those are our main armaments, sir. Electromagnetic railguns capable of accelerating projectiles tow." The chamber erupted in laughter. Walker felt his face grow hot, but he maintained his composure. He'd been warned this might happen, but experiencing it was different. "Projectiles," a reptilian counselor wheezed between laughs. "You mean you throw pieces of metal at your enemies?" "Precisely," Walker answered, keeping his voice level. "Our railguns can launch tungsten rounds at speeds exceeding—" "How quaint," interrupted another counselor. "This one a floating orb of translucent gas. They haven't even discovered basic plasma manipulation." High Counselor Nexar raised a hand for silence, though his mouth twitched with barely contained amusement. "Captain Walker, perhaps a demonstration of real military technology would help you understand why we find this so entertaining." He gestured, and a hologram appeared showing a sleek alien warship. "This is a standard Galactic Council patrol vessel. Observe." The ship in the hologram fired a brilliant beam of energy that completely vaporized an asteroid. The chamber filled with approving murmurs. "That," Nexar said proudly, "is a low-powered demonstration of our basic point defense system. Every civilized species in the galaxy uses energy-based weapons. They are precise, effective, and most importantly, modern." Walker watched as several other council members displayed their own weapons technology. Beams of light that could cut through space itself, fields of pure energy that could tear apart matter at the atomic level, and weapons that could bend the fabric of reality. Each demonstration was met with appreciative nods and comments about elegance and sophistication. Each presenter made sure to glance at Walker with what he could only interpret as pity. Finally, after the last demonstration, Nexar spoke again. "Captain Walker, we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm for joining the galactic community. However, it's clear that your civilization needs time to develop. We recommend focusing on basic energy manipulation before attempting to participate in galactic military affairs." "With all due respect, High Counselor," Walker replied, "our weapons are more effective than you might." "Come now, Captain," Nexar interrupted gently, as if speaking to a child. "You're talking about throwing rocks while we command the fundamental forces of the universe. The Council will classify Earth as a developing civilization, with appropriate trade restrictions for your own protection." Walker opened his mouth to protest, but was cut off by the sound of the Council's voting system. Green lights flashed across the chamber as member after member approved Earth's classification as a developing world. As he left the chamber, Walker could still hear their laughter echoing behind him. He pulled out his communicator and sent a brief message to Earth Command. Classification confirmed. They reacted exactly as predicted. Back in the chamber, the Council had already moved on to other matters, having dismissed Earth and its primitive weapons from their minds. None of them noticed the slight smile on Walker's face as he walked away, or understood that sometimes the simplest solutions were the ones everyone overlooked. After all, no one had thought to ask why humanity, with all its scientific knowledge, had chosen to stick with projectile weapons. They would learn the answer soon enough. Admiral Elena Thompson stood at the window of her office in Earth Defense Command, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. Behind her, Captain Walker's report from the Galactic Council meeting played on the main screen. "Turn it off," she said, finally turning to face the room full of Earth's top military commanders. "I think we've all seen enough of their reaction." General Roberts, a weathered man with gray hair, shook his head. "They really bought it. Hook, line, and sinker." "Of course they did," Thompson replied, walking to her desk. She picked up a simple brass bullet casing and held it up to the light. They'd spent so long developing energy weapons that they'd forgotten the basics of physics. The room's holographic display came to life, showing detailed scans of alien shield technology. Complex energy patterns swirled and shifted, creating seemingly impenetrable barriers around their ships. "Look here," Thompson pointed to a specific section of data. "Their shields are incredible at dispersing energy attacks. Lasers, plasma, even their reality warping weapons, all stopped cold. But they have a critical flaw." She dropped the bullet casing onto her desk with a sharp asterisk ping asterisk. "They don't account for good old-fashioned kinetic energy," she continued. "Their shields are tuned to stop energy weapons, not solid objects. It's like they've built the perfect umbrella but forgotten about rocks." Dr. Martinez, head of weapons development, stepped forward. "We've completed the initial tests using captured shield technology. Standard bullets pass through their shields like they're not even there. But we can do better." He gestured, and the hologram changed to show new weapon designs. "We've developed specialized ammunition using their own advanced materials. Tungsten carbon composite cores, smart guidance systems, and something special we're calling shield-seeking rounds." "Shield-seeking?" General Roberts raised an eyebrow. "Yes," Martinez grinned. "The aliens use specific energy frequencies for their shields. We've found a way to make our bullets attracted to those frequencies. The stronger their shields, the more our rounds want to hit them." Thompson walked around the room, looking each commander in the eye. "Earth has been classified as a developing civilization. They'd restricted our trading rights, limited our space travel, and treated us like children. But they've also given us the perfect cover to prepare." She brought up another hologram, this one showing Earth's hidden production facilities. Deep underground and scattered across the planet, factories were already churning out the new ammunition types. "Our public shipyards will continue building the primitive ships they expect to see," she explained. "But these facilities are producing our real defense force. Ships with both energy weapons and advanced railguns. The best of both worlds, plus something they've never seen before." "What about spies?" someone asked. "Surely they're watching us." "Let them watch," Thompson smiled. "They're so convinced we're primitive that they're only monitoring our public energy research. Nobody's paying attention to our outdated bullet factories." Dr. Martinez added, "We've also discovered something interesting about their armor. They'd focused so much on energy shielding that their physical hull protection is surprisingly weak. A well-placed kinetic round could disable most of their ships with a single hit." Thompson walked back to the window, watching as the first stars became visible in the darkening sky. "They think we're stuck in the past, unable to grasp their advanced technology. But sometimes the old ways are the best ways. We'll play the part of the primitive species, learning at their feet. Until what?" General Roberts asked, though his smile suggested he already knew the answer. "Until someone makes the mistake of actually attacking us," Thompson replied. "Then they'll learn why humanity never completely abandoned projectile weapons. Sometimes the simple solution is the deadliest." As if to emphasize her point, she picked up the bullet casing again and placed it carefully in a display case alongside other primitive weapons. Soon enough, the galaxy would learn to respect these simple pieces of metal. But for now, they would wait, prepare, and let the Council keep laughing. Captain Doros stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Star Render, admiring the sight of Earth's outer colony, Mars, through the main viewport. His scaled lips curled into what passed for a smile among his species as he watched his fleet of 5 ships move into attack position. Primitive humans, he growled with amusement. Their defenses are so weak that this barely qualifies as piracy. It's more like harvesting. His crew laughed. They had raided dozens of developing worlds before, and this would be no different. Their ships carried the latest stolen shield technology from across the galaxy. Nothing could touch them. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "I'm detecting some kind of weapon platforms around the colony. Very basic design. They appear to be simple metal tubes mounted on rotating bases." "Projectile weapons," Torres laughed. "Just like intelligence reported. These humans haven't even figured out proper energy weapons yet." He straightened his ornate captain's vest. "Begin the attack. Don't even bother powering up the heavy weapons. Basic shields will be more than enough." The pirate fleet moved forward, their shield generators humming to life with a soft blue glow. On their screens, they could see the human defense platforms turning to track their approach. "Sir," his communications officer spoke up, "we're receiving a transmission from the colony." "Put it through," Doros said, expecting to hear pleas for mercy. A calm human voice filled the bridge. "This is Mars Defense Command to approaching vessels. You have entered restricted space. Turn back immediately." Doros clicked his teeth together in amusement. Send no reply. Let's show them what real space combat looks like. The pirates continued their approach. At 50,000 kilometers, the human defense platforms began to move. "Sir, they're doing something," the sensor officer reported. "The platforms are loading something into those tubes." "Let them waste their primitive ammunition." Doros waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Our shields can stop anything short of a capital ship's main gun." At 40,000 kilometers, the defense platforms fired. The first round, a seemingly simple metal projectile, crossed the distance in seconds. It struck the shield of the nearest pirate ship and passed right through, punching a clean hole through the vessel's engine section. "Impossible," the sensor officer shouted as the stricken ship's power failed, and it began to drift. Before Doros could process what had happened, more rounds were already in flight. Each shot ignored their shields completely, striking with devastating precision. Evasive action. Doros roared, but it was too late. A specialized round struck his own flagship, the smart guidance system directing it straight through the bridge's protective screens. Doros watched in horror as the projectile seemed to actually curve toward his ship's power core, attracted to the energy signatures that normally protected them. "Full retreat," he ordered, but 2 more of his ships were already dead in space, their engines destroyed by the human weapons. The calm voice came through their comms again. "This is your final warning. The next salvo will target your life support systems." Doros looked at his tactical display in disbelief. 3 ships disabled, 1 heavily damaged, and his own flagship's power core was fluctuating dangerously, all from simple metal projectiles that their advanced shields hadn't even slowed down. "Stand down all weapons," he commanded, his voice shaking. "Send the surrender signal." As human patrol ships approached to take them into custody, Doros stared at the primitive defense platforms that had so easily defeated his fleet. His last thought before being taken into custody was that perhaps the galaxy had made a terrible mistake in dismissing human technology. Back at Mars Defense Command, the station commander sent a brief message to Earth. "Test successful. Shield-seeking rounds performed beyond expectations. Pirates neutralized with minimal collateral damage." Admiral Thompson's reply was equally brief. "Good. Let them spread the word. It's time the galaxy learned what humanity is really capable of." The message found its way to every pirate haven and smuggler's port across the sector. Stay away from human space. Their weapons might look primitive, but they cut through shields like they aren't even there. The humans had been underestimated, and the pirates had paid the price. High Counselor Nexar stared at the report on his desk with growing concern. The holographic display showed detailed images of the disabled pirate ships, each one bearing clean holes straight through their most vital systems. "This can't be accurate," he muttered, his silvery skin rippling with agitation. "You're telling me that humans did this with projectile weapons?" The intelligence officer, a tall being made of crystalline structures, nodded. "The evidence is clear, sir. Captain Doros's fleet was defeated in less than 5 minutes. Their shields were completely ineffective." "Impossible," another council member interrupted. "They're a developing civilization. They barely understand basic energy manipulation. These must be doctored reports." The chamber doors slid open, and a new figure entered. Ambassador Krell, representative of the merchant worlds. His usually immaculate business attire was wrinkled, suggesting he'd come straight from his ship. "I'm afraid it's all true," Krell announced. "My trading vessels witnessed the entire battle. The humans have developed something unprecedented." The council chamber erupted in confused discussions. Nexer raised his hand for silence. "Even if these reports are true," he said carefully, "it was just one incident. Perhaps the pirates had faulty shield generators." As if in answer to his words, another hologram appeared. An urgent message from the border sectors. 3 more incidents had been reported. In each case, aggressive ships had approached Earth's colonies, and in each case, they had been disabled with terrifying precision by simple projectile weapons. "There's more," the intelligence officer added. "We've intercepted communications from various weapons dealers across the galaxy. They're all receiving the same request. Earth wants to buy their old, outdated shield generators. Hundreds of them." "Why would they want outdated technology?" someone asked. Ambassador Krell's crystalline face shifted in what passed for a smile. "To study them, obviously. They're learning how our shields work, finding their weaknesses. And they're doing it right under our noses, using technology we literally gave them access to." The council chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. They had classified Earth as a developing civilization, restricted their trade, limited their access to advanced technology. And in doing so, they have forced humanity to think creatively. "We need to send investigators," Nexer decided. "We must understand what they've done." "Already tried," Krell replied. "My corporation sent 3 technical experts to Earth last week. They came back with nothing but praise for human primitive engineering. And," he paused, his crystal structure dimming slightly. "And what?" Nexer demanded. "And purchase orders. The humans are willing to sell their projectile weapon technology to approved buyers. Several major powers have already expressed interest." The chamber erupted again. The idea that advanced civilizations would want to buy primitive human weapons was almost as shocking as their effectiveness. "This changes everything," Nexer said quietly. "If their weapons can truly bypass our best shields." "There's one more thing," the intelligence officer added. "We've detected increased production at Earth's manufacturing facilities. They're building something big, something they're not trying to hide anymore." The hologram showed massive construction yards in Earth's orbit. New ships were taking shape, vessels that combined traditional human projectile weapons with reverse-engineered alien technology. "Perhaps," Ambassador Krell suggested, "it's time we reconsider Earth's classification as a developing civilization." Nexer looked around the chamber at his fellow council members. The laughter and mockery from their first contact with humans seemed like a distant memory now. In its place was something new, respect tinged with fear. "Call an emergency session," he ordered, "and someone get me everything we have on human military technology. It seems we have much to learn about the proper use of, what did we call them? Primitive weapons." As the council members filed out, a message arrived from Earth. It was short, simple, and sent waves of unease through the galactic community. Earth is now accepting orders for its new line of defense systems. All inquiries welcome. The galaxy was changing, and humanity, it seemed, would be leading the way. Admiral Thompson stood on the observation deck of the Jupiter Defense Station, watching as the Galactic Council's delegation arrived in their gleaming ships. Behind her, rows of Earth's most advanced railgun platforms waited silently, their long barrels pointing into the empty space of the testing range. "Quite a change from their last visit," Captain Walker said, standing beside her. "No one's laughing now." The council ships docked, and soon the observation deck filled with alien dignitaries. High Counselor Nexer led the group, his silvery skin reflecting the station's lights. "Admiral Thompson," he greeted her formally, "we are here to witness your weapons demonstration. Though I must admit, many of us still have doubts." Thompson smiled. "Seeing is believing, Counselor. If you'll all take your positions behind the safety barriers, we can begin." The test range before them was impressive. Earth had arranged a series of decommissioned alien ships at various distances, each with its shields fully powered. These were real warships, not practice targets, donated by various powers eager to understand human weapons technology. "First demonstration," Thompson announced through the station's comm system. "Standard railgun platform versus current generation alien shields." The closest railgun rotated smoothly, its targeting systems locking onto the first target. The alien observers leaned forward, their various sensory organs fixed on the scene. "Fire," Thompson ordered. The railgun launched its projectile with a crack that echoed through space. The round, traveling at a significant fraction of light speed, passed through the target ship's shields like they weren't there. It punched through the vessel's command center and out the other side, leaving two precise holes. Gasps filled the observation deck, one crystalline being actually cracked in shock. "That was our most basic round," Thompson explained. "Now let's demonstrate our shield-seeking ammunition." The next target was protected by multiple overlapping shield systems, the kind of defense that could normally withstand sustained fire from energy weapons. The railgun fired again. This time, the projectile actually curved in flight, drawn to the strongest part of the shield. It struck exactly where the shield generators connected to the power core, disabling the entire system with a single shot. "Impossible," one of the alien scientists whispered. "It's violating fundamental laws of physics." "No," Thompson corrected him. "It's using them. Your shields emit specific energy frequencies. We simply designed our ammunition to be attracted to those frequencies. The stronger the shield, the stronger the attraction." The demonstrations continued. They showed rounds that could split into multiple projectiles, smart bullets that could chase targets through evasive maneuvers, and specialized ammunition that could disable specific systems without destroying the entire ship. "And now," Thompson said finally, "the main event. Our new hybrid technology." A massive shadow fell over the observation deck as Earth's newest warship moved into position. It looked different from their earlier vessels, sleeker, more advanced. But it still bristled with both energy weapons and railgun ports. "We've learned from your technology," Thompson explained. "But we haven't abandoned what works. This ship carries both energy weapons and projectile systems, the best of both worlds." The hybrid ship demonstrated its capabilities, using energy weapons to herd targets into killing zones where railguns could deliver the finishing blow. The combination was devastating. When it was over, the observation deck was silent. High Counselor Nexer stepped forward, his usual diplomatic composure shaken. "Admiral Thompson," he said quietly, "I believe we owe humanity an apology. We dismissed your technology as primitive. We were wrong." Thompson nodded. "The simple solution is sometimes the best one, Counselor. Now shall we discuss Earth's new classification in the galaxy?" As the delegates began urgent discussions about treaties, trade agreements, and military alliances, Thompson caught Walker's eye and smiled. The galaxy had laughed at human weapons. Now they wanted to buy them. The massive manufacturing complex on Mars hummed with activity as Dr. Martinez walked Ambassador Krell through the production lines. Robotic arms assembled railguns with precision, while teams of human engineers monitored the process. "As you can see," Martinez explained, "we've scaled up production to meet galactic demand. Your people aren't the only ones wanting our technology." Krill's crystalline form shifted nervously. That's exactly why I'm here. The merchant worlds are concerned about the spread of these weapons. Already, 3 minor conflicts have broken out using human-designed guns, which is why we're very careful about who we sell to. Martins replied, stopping at a testing station. They watched as a new type of round was loaded into a chamber. Our latest development, he said proudly. Smart bullets with built-in eye. They can make targeting decisions mid-flight. The test fired, and on the screens, they watched the bullet navigate a complex maze of obstacles before striking its target perfectly. Krill's crystalline structure paled slightly. The galaxy wasn't ready for this, he said quietly. Everyone focused on energy weapons for so long, we forgot the basics. Now there's panic. Every major power is trying to develop defenses against kinetic weapons. In orbit above them, a massive shipyard was visible. New vessels were under construction, warships that combined traditional human railguns with advanced alien technology. Each one represented a fortune in galactic credits, paid eagerly by worlds that once mocked Earth's primitive weapons. Progress report from the Centauri testing range, a technician called out. The new physical armor plates are performing well against standard rounds. Martinez nodded. See, the galaxy is adapting. Some species are adding old-fashioned armor to their ships. Others are developing new types of shields. That's good. It means balance. Their tour continued to a secure research facility. Through thick windows, they could see scientists working with alien shield technology, studying ways to combine it with physical protection. The real breakthrough, Martinez explained, wasn't just our weapons. It was realizing that no single type of defense is perfect. You need layers, energy shields, and physical armor working together. Krell's communication crystal pulsed with concern. But the cost. The resources needed to retrofit every ship in the galaxy with physical armor is less than the cost of losing those ships to kinetic weapons. Martinez finished. The galaxy got comfortable. Maybe too comfortable. They reached a final chamber where engineers were testing a new hybrid defense system. Energy shields flickered around a test plate of advanced armor composite. Humanity's gift to the galaxy, Martinez said with a hint of pride. Not just better weapons, but better defenses too. We're selling protection alongside our guns. A message flashed across the facility's main screen. Another order for weapons and defense systems, this time from a species that had once been among Earth's strongest critics. How things change, Martinez mused. 6 months ago, they called us primitive. Now they're our biggest customers. Krell turned his crystalline face to Martinez. There are rumors. Some say humans knew about the shield weakness all along. That you kept using projectile weapons deliberately, waiting for the right moment. Martinez just smiled. The galaxy spent centuries developing energy weapons, making them more and more powerful. But sometimes the simple solution is the best one. We just never forgot that. Through the window, they watched as a new shipment of railguns was loaded onto a transport bound for the Galactic core. Each one represented a change in the balance of power, a shift in how war would be fought across the stars. The arms race is inevitable, Martinez said finally. But maybe this time, with both energy and kinetic weapons in play, everyone will be a little more cautious about starting fights. Krell's crystal structure resonated in agreement. The galaxy was changing, forced to evolve by humanity's primitive weapons, and perhaps that wasn't such a bad thing after all. The great chamber of the Galactic Council looked very different from the last time Captain Walker had stood there. Now, alongside the sleek energy weapons displayed on the walls, there hung examples of human railguns and projectile weapons, a symbol of how much had changed. Walker stepped up to the speaking platform, now wearing the uniform of an admiral. The same alien faces that had laughed at him a year ago now watched with respect and attention. High Counselor Nexer's silver skin gleamed as he stood to make the announcement. Today marks a historic moment. Nexer's voice echoed through the chamber. Earth is formally recognized as a full member of the Galactic Council, with all rights and privileges thereof. The chamber erupted in applause, a far cry from the mocking laughter of their first meeting. Walker couldn't help but smile as he began his acceptance speech. "A year ago, I stood in this chamber and presented Earth's military capabilities," he said. "You laughed then, calling our weapons primitive. Today, those same weapons protect half the trading routes in the galaxy." Heads nodded throughout the chamber. Human-made defense platforms now guarded the most important space lanes, their railguns keeping pirates and raiders at bay. Ships of every species carried at least some human weapons alongside their energy arsenals. But humanity's greatest contribution wasn't our weapons, Walker continued. It was reminding the galaxy of an important lesson. Never discount an idea just because it seems simple or old-fashioned. On the massive screens behind him, images appeared showing the newest generation of galactic ships. They were beautiful hybrids of different technologies. Energy shields working alongside physical armor, railguns next to plasma cannons. Admiral Thompson, seated in the front row, watched with pride as Walker spoke. Her datapad showed the latest reports. Weapons sales were stable, defense contracts were growing, and more importantly, incidents of space piracy had dropped by 70%. "The galaxy has entered a new age," Walker said. "One where no single technology dominates. One where we learn from each other's strengths instead of mocking each other's differences." He gestured to a display case where a simple brass bullet casing sat next to an advanced energy cell. "These represent the old division, primitive versus advanced. But that thinking nearly left us vulnerable. True strength comes from combining the old with the new." In the years since human weapons had changed the galaxy, something unexpected had happened. Species that had looked down on primitive technologies were rediscovering their own ancient weapons, combining them with modern innovations to create something new. "Earth is honored to join the Council," Walker concluded. "We look forward to facing future challenges together, as equals." The applause was genuine this time. As Walker stepped down, High Counselor Nexar approached him privately. "You knew, didn't you?" Nexar asked quietly. "When you first came here, you already knew our shields couldn't stop your weapons." Walker's smile was diplomatic. "We had our suspicions, but you gave us time to perfect our technology while thinking we were harmless." Nexar's silver skin rippled with amusement, a valuable lesson in humility for us all. "Speaking of which, the Council has approved your recommendation. All new ships must now be tested against both energy and kinetic weapons before certification." Walker nodded with satisfaction. The galaxy was safer now, not because human weapons were superior, but because no one could rely on a single type of defense anymore. As the ceremony concluded, Walker looked out at the changed chamber one last time. The brass bullet casing in the display caught the light, gleaming alongside the energy weapons and shield generators, a simple piece of metal that had changed the course of galactic history. Sometimes, he thought, the old ways really were the best ways, and now the whole galaxy knew it.